Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking the mystery completely out of the stock market. If you've ever felt like investing is, this exclusive club with a secret language, or if you're just feeling totally paralyzed about where to even begin, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to take all those intimidating, complicated financial charts and turn them into a simple, highly actionable playbook. By the end of our time together today, you'll have everything you need to start building real, long-term wealth. All right, let's dive right in.
Here's our game plan for today. We've got 5 simple steps: surviving the market roller coaster, setting up your account, the index fund strategy, buying your first stock, and finally, the actual cost of waiting.
All right, step 1, surviving the market roller coaster.
Let's tackle the elephant in the room right off the bat, the absolute number one fear holding beginners back. It's the fear that you're going to put your hard-earned money in, the market will crash, and you lose everything. To conquer this, we really need to look at a true story starting back in 1985, because you've got to see the sheer amount of economic panic one single investor can actually live through. Imagine you started investing at age 18 in 1985. Just 2 years later, boom, you're hit with the 1987 Black Monday crash, the Monday Massacre, literally the biggest one-day drop in Wall Street history. Your friends are absolutely begging you to sell. But if you held on, you'd eventually run into the early 2000s dot-com bubble, watching the tech-heavy NASDAQ go into a near 10% freefall. And then, decades later, the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic hits, causing a 3% global economic contraction, which was the worst downturn since the Great Depression. I mean, it sounds like a total nightmare, right?
But wait, here is the absolute kicker. If you simply ignored all that noise, held strong, and steadily invested just $250 a month through every single one of those historic, terrifying panics, what do you think would happen? Well, you would have seen an 11.23% average yearly return. That translates to a staggering 6,000% total return. Your pretty modest monthly deposits would have turned into over $1.8 million. The market always has its terrifying dips, sure, but historically, it consistently recovers and climbs higher. The trick isn't dodging the storm, it's just staying on the boat.
Moving right along to step 2, setting up your account.
Okay, so we've proven the market is a wealth-building machine if you've got a little patience. Now, let's eliminate the friction of actually getting started. It used to be that you had to, phone up a guy in a suit to buy a stock. Now, it's literally just a few taps on your phone. But before you even think about buying a stock, you absolutely must follow 3 crucial preparation steps. Step 1 is totally non-negotiable. Build an emergency fund covering 3 to 5 months of your living expenses. Why? Because you never ever want to be in a position where your car breaks down and you are forced to sell your stocks at a loss just to pay the mechanic. Secure your baseline first. Then, you open the right type of account, and finally, you just deposit your funds via your preferred app, using something super simple like Apple Pay or a bank transfer.
So, the really crucial point here is choosing that right account. You don't just want a standard brokerage account. You want a tax-advantaged account. Look, if you're going to make 6,000% returns over your lifetime, you definitely don't want to surrender those returns to unnecessary taxes. In the UK, a stocks and shares ISA is an unbelievable option. It lets you invest up to £20,000 a year, all profits are completely free from capital gains tax, and you can withdraw flexibly. If you're in the US, the equivalent is generally a Roth IRA. It has a slightly lower limit, around $6,500 a year, and the funds are largely locked away until retirement age, but those tax benefits are just as vital for your long-term growth.
Step 3, the index fund strategy.
Okay, your account is funded and you're ready to buy. But what do you actually buy? Chasing the next big meme stock on the internet is gambling, plain and simple. It's not investing. We need a reliable, long-term strategy for beginners. And that brings us to the index fund. Honestly, the easiest way to think of an index fund is to picture the top 40 music charts. If a song is a massive hit with high sales, it climbs to the top of the chart. But the moment it drops in popularity, it falls right off the list and gets replaced by a hotter new track. An index fund does exactly this. Just swap out pop songs for companies.
The ultimate music chart of stocks is the S&P 500. This is an index tracking roughly 500 of the absolute largest public companies in the United States. We're talking the big dogs: Amazon, Google, Apple, Tesla. And here is the real magic of this. With just one single click on your investment app, you aren't risking all your money on one company. You are spreading your cash across all 500 giant companies at once. If one company makes a terrible decision and their stock tanks, they get booted from the index, and your overall money stays insulated because it's spread across the other 499 successful ones. It drastically lowers your risk while still capturing the growth of the broader economy.
Now, when you search for an S&P 500 fund in your app, you're likely going to see two kind of confusing terms in the brackets: accumulation or distribution. A distribution fund takes the dividends, that little slice of profits companies pay back to their shareholders, and just drops them into your account as plain cash. But an accumulation fund, that's the real game changer for beginners. It automatically takes those dividends and immediately reinvests them to buy more fractions of the stock. It compounds your wealth completely on autopilot. As a beginner, the less you have to manually manage your money, the better. Just set it and forget it.
Now, I know some of you might be thinking, hey, this is great, but I'm not rich. I don't have thousands to invest right now. Well, let's look at a pretty fascinating real-world experiment from our sources. A young investor automated a daily investment of just £5 into the S&P 500. Why £5? Because that's basically the cost of a daily Starbucks coffee. By simply redirecting his daily caffeine budget into an automated index fund, he didn't just save money, he made money. In just 3 months, this tiny daily habit yielded a 5.03% return. Investing isn't about being rich right off the bat. It's entirely about being consistent.
Step 4. Buying your first stock.
While a wildly diversified index fund should definitely be the bedrock of your beginner portfolio, there usually comes a day when you want to own a piece of a specific company you really believe in, say Tesla or Apple. But before you hit buy, you'll encounter two totally different schools of thought. First up is technical analysis. This is the realm of the highly stressed day trader, hyper-analyzing short-term price charts, looking for visual patterns to guess what a stock will do in the next hour. Yeah, skip this. Instead, embrace fundamental analysis. This is what actual long-term wealth builders do. You are looking at the true health of the company, their income statements, their balance sheets, who the CEO is, and the strength of their brand. Remember, you're buying a piece of a real business, not a lottery ticket, and you should be fully prepared to hold it for a minimum of 2 to 5 years.
So, when you're finally ready and you pull up the page to buy that share of Tesla, your app is going to ask you how you want to execute the trade. The two main options are a market order and a limit order. Think of a market order just like walking into a supermarket. You want a gallon of milk, you see the sticker price, you pay it, and you're done immediately. The trade executes right then at whatever the stock's current price happens to be. A limit order, on the other hand, is a bit like going to a local boot fair or a flea market. You want the item, but you want to haggle. You essentially tell your app, look, I only want to buy this stock if the price drops to exactly this lower number. If the stock never drops to your haggled price, you just don't buy it. For a beginner, honestly, a simple market order gets the job done without overcomplicating the whole shebang.
And finally, step 5, the cost of waiting.
All right, we've covered the mental game, the account setup, the index fund strategy, and the mechanics of buying a stock. But now we absolutely must confront the ultimate villain of investing: hesitation. Seriously, look at how this builds based on historical averages. If you invest $250 a month for 31 years, you will have put in $94,000 of your own hard-earned money. But thanks to the magic of compound interest, your projected portfolio value balloons to over $1.14 million. Now, check out the bottom row. If you expand that timeline to 40 years, still just putting in $250 a month, you've invested a total of $120,000 of your own cash. But the final portfolio value explodes to over $3.56 million. That is the magical, almost totally unfair advantage of giving your money the time it needs to grow.
But let's look at the flip side. Let's say you plan to invest roughly the same amount every month. Starting at age 25 sets you up on a really strong trajectory. But if you decide, you know what, I'm too busy right now, and you wait exactly 10 years, starting at age 35 instead, the difference in your final compound growth is downright severe. The pain of putting off investing isn't just some small penalty. It literally costs you millions in the long run. The math proves it over and over. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today.
You have just been handed the complete beginner's playbook. You now know that market crashes are just bumps on a long upward road. You know how to set up a tax-advantaged account, automate an index fund, and decipher basic stock market jargon. So, I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought. Now that the mystery is entirely gone, and you clearly see the massive financial cost of hesitation, what is actually holding you back? It is time to take control, open that app, and make your very first move today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy investing!